All right, folks, let's get started. Thank you all for coming here. Hope you guys are having a great build. You guys got some cool gifts yesterday, right? A Surface, a Windows Phone. What I'm most excited about is that you guys got all 100 GB of SkyDrive for life. That is a lot of storage for the cloud. Imagine the amount of data you can store there. I'm actually really excited that you guys got that. Secondly, the weather has been really crappy. It's been raining a lot. I'm sure you guys have been carrying umbrellas between building 33 and 92. I apologize about that. Funny story. If you live in Seattle for long enough, you tend to run away when it starts to rain. Like, just get out of town, get the last bit of sun, go to a beach town or something. And recently, I actually did that. Just last week, I was out on vacation. Me and my wife decided to go to Mexico. Just get the sun, sit on the beach, do nothing. And one thing, I don't know about you guys, but since I've been married, I've become more organized. I've been taking a lot of notes and a lot of stuff, doing a lot of research. So just like that, I was looking at the destination that I was going to. I looked at all the activities I wanted to do. So I took notes, started capturing those notes on OneNote, and just, had a nice compiled list on my PC. But when it came to travel, I decided not to carry my PC. I was completely oblivious to the fact that my notes were on my PC. And during the flight, my wife was like, so let's see what our itinerary is. What are we going to do? And I'm like, damn, I forgot the notes. I'm pretty much in the doghouse, right? But then I realized I was using OneNote. And the great thing about OneNote, it uses SkyDrive to back your data. So I went to my hotel, connected my phone to the Wi-Fi, and my notes were right there. I had all my notes. Not only OneNote saved my trip, actually kept me out of the doghouse and the couch for a couple of days. So my name is Dipesh Monani. I'm a program manager on the SkyDrive API team. And today I'm here to talk to you about how you can create that application and provide that experience to your users and create a cloud-aware app so your users don't have to worry about moving data from one device to another device. So let's get started. Welcome to the Developer's Guide of SkyDrive API. And here's a quick agenda of what I'll be covering. I'm actually quickly going to go over what is SkyDrive. Hopefully most of you guys know what SkyDrive is. If not, just raise your hands, let me know. All right, everyone knows what SkyDrive is. That's awesome. I'm going to talk about what Microsoft as a company is betting on SkyDrive. You must have seen the keynote. You saw the Windows Phone keynote. You saw how many times Steve mentioned the word SkyDrive there. So it is Microsoft as a company is betting on SkyDrive. And I'm going to kind of show you why you should actually make that bet as well. And then I'm going to show you how you can connect your Windows Store app to SkyDrive, how easy it is to get started. And lastly, I'm going to show you if you have a website and that needs to talk to SkyDrive, how you can do that and build a nice recognizable experience to your users. So what is SkyDrive? I'm asking you guys, you guys have used SkyDrive, so you guys know that, right? Cloud storage. It is a powerful cloud storage for your docs, photos, and files. You can actually upload it there. If you upload a document, you get an Office web app, and you can start editing it from there. So it is a really powerful cloud storage. It is deeply integrated into Windows and Office. If you guys use Office 2013, it's one of the default save locations, and I'll actually get to that. It is also available natively across all your devices. If you have a Windows Phone application, Windows Phone, you can get the application there. If you have an iOS app, you can get the iOS app as well as the Android app. So there's different applications on all your devices, so you can use it there. In fact, there's a Mac client as well. It is also a rich sharing and collaboration tool. As I mentioned, I can actually share a document with you guys, and we all can edit the document at the same time, and I'll see the changes. And the best part about it, it has easy developer APIs. So you can create an application that actually talks to SkyDrive. So let's quickly take a look at what's Microsoft's bet on SkyDrive. Microsoft as a company has bet on SkyDrive pretty big. As you can see, it's integrated with Office. So in fact, if you install the new Office 2013 and you try to save a document, it says save it to the cloud. It is actually saving to your SkyDrive. It is integrated into Windows and File Explorer. In fact, even it's integrated to the Mac Finder. So if you download one of our SkyDrive clients, you can actually just install it, and you go to My Documents or you go to the File Explorer, you'll see a SkyDrive icon right there. And actually, you can just drag a file and drop it in, and it's already on your cloud, so you don't have to worry about it. And the best part about it is it provides you offline access to those files. It is the best cloud solution for Windows 8. If you guys got your Surfaces, right? You notice the SkyDrive app was installed automatically. It was already there. And in fact, you can save to SkyDrive from any application by just going to the file picker. There's a file option there. Just select the drop down. You'll see SkyDrive there, and you actually save it from your modern app. It's also integrated in the Windows Phone. If you guys haven't been using the Windows Phone, I strongly urge you with the one that you got yesterday. And actually, if you take a picture, it automatically gets uploaded to SkyDrive. I don't know if it happened to you, but so many times I've lost my phone, and I lost my pictures from that. So this is a really, really awesome feature. So let me just quickly tell you what we see SkyDrive and where we see it going. We believe it's the place for your files, and it's available across devices. And we have storage plans that fit your needs. In your case, you guys have 100 GB, so you don't have to worry about it. But it's a plan for any of your users. You get 7 GB out of the box when you sign up for a Microsoft account. In terms of apps, we expect apps to take advantage of it and provide a seamless and provide new ways to share data with other users. And in fact, we expect third-party apps like you guys to create and you take advantage of it. We also expect it to be in modern devices like Windows and Windows Phone that you can actually talk with SkyDrive. So that's our vision. And it's reflected on the bet that Microsoft's making. And we need you guys to actually help with the app scenario where you build apps that talk to SkyDrive for your users. So connecting your apps to SkyDrive, how do you do that? So before I get into this, there's one thing I want to let you guys know, is when you set up your Surface, the first thing it asks you is what user account do you want to register? You enter with your Microsoft account. By having a Microsoft account, you automatically have a SkyDrive data account as well. So you don't have to worry about that, or don't have to worry about your users having that problem. Because if to download an app from the Windows Store, they have to have a Microsoft account. So you're assured that your user has a Microsoft account. And that way, any Windows 8 user can use your app freely. So how do you connect your app to SkyDrive? Before we get into that, let's look at what kind of apps you can create. We expect apps that create and capture documents or photos. So if you want to create an app that makes photos look old, you can create that and store it on SkyDrive. People like taking pictures of their food and trying to blog about it. You can create an app that lets you do that. If you want to create a document-taking, a note-taking app, you can create that with SkyDrive. And the best part about all this is, if it's one of the standard formats, you can actually go to skydrive.com and actually view the files right there. They don't have to have your app experience. So your user gets that benefit. We also expect you to create an app that lets your users bring personal cloud to your experience. This could be, if you install the photo app, if you checked out the photo app, this is a good example. What it does is actually brings your photos from Facebook, Flickr, SkyDrive, and your local system. So if you're trying to create an app that lets your users bring a mashup type experience, you can do that. You can create a document manager, which lets you do that. You can use the APIs for that. And also, lastly, what I want to talk about is you can actually create any app. So that's why I have it there. Enter your scenario here. Whatever your scenario is. Because using the APIs, you can upload any file format to SkyDrive. Keep in mind here, there's two things I want to caution you guys. That this file is visible to the user, so make sure your app is designed to handle if the user deletes the file. So this is something to keep in mind. And second thing is, if you're storing encrypted data, confidential data, try to encrypt it. Because anybody can access that data, and that could be problems. So make sure you keep that in mind. And with that said, let me show you how you can connect your app. So I'm going to introduce you to a tool called Live SDK. Live SDK is a set of 3 components the way I see it. It's the REST API piece, there's the client-side library, and there's the OAuth piece. So to talk to SkyDrive, you need to know OAuth or REST API. And you can actually, the way the OAuth works is, it basically lets you show a login screen from the Microsoft account login page, and the user enters a credential on that page. So it is hosted on Microsoft.com, so your user has, feels secure about it, and then he gets a consent screen. And once you get the consent screen, you get an access token that you can use to talk to SkyDrive. So that's just the REST API in general. It returns JSON response. So you're familiar with JSON response. It's very lightweight. You can use that. And the best part about it is we have a bunch of client-side libraries you can actually use. I'll show you the supported platforms in a bit. But what you do is the concepts you learn in one platform is familiar to you in the same other platform as well. So if you're developing a Windows 8 C# application, if you go to Windows Phone, you know what to do. You're not lost. You can get started very easily. There's some minor changes, but it's very straightforward. So you don't have to worry about that. And let me tell you why you should use it. Because it's easy to get started. In fact, in one of my demos, I'll show you how easy it is. It's integrated into Visual Studio, so you don't have to worry about that. It's built on top of a REST API, so you can actually build any app. The use of the SDK is optional, so you can build any app on any platform. In fact, there's a partner of ours who actually built an app on this camera. It's a Wi-Fi-enabled camera, which actually uploads pictures to SkyDrive. You can actually go select and just upload a picture to SkyDrive. In fact, I'll let you guys check it out if you guys want to see. Just hit menu and you should be able to find it. So it's a pretty cool thing. So you can actually use our REST APIs and actually just upload stuff to SkyDrive. Also, how many of you guys have done OAuth or dealt with OAuth? What are the pain points? Getting it set up. Anybody else? So getting an OAuth set up is really troublesome. You have to know about how to show the login page, get the login page, which URL you need to hit, handle the redirection. Once you get the redirection back, how do you close the browser? Once you get the browser, get the authorization code from the browser instance, how to exchange that for an access token. Then access token can expire. So depending on who you're using, if you're using Facebook, I believe it's now 60 days. If you're using Yahoo, it's 1 hour. If you're using Microsoft account, it's 1 hour. It can expire. So that is, setting up OAuth is troublesome. So using our client-side libraries, you can actually not worry about that and just get started. It is very easy. And in fact, I'll show you the code snippet that lets you do that. Also, what it does is provides a recognizable login experience to your user. So your user, he sees a page, which is a Microsoft account page. He can enter his credentials, and he can be assured that it is safe. So with that said, let's look at the second piece of Live SDK. Is the REST APIs. So this is what our REST APIs look like. It supports the basic HTTP verbs, get, put, post, delete, move, copy. The way it works is we have a base URL, which is http.apis.live.net/v5.0. And I have the /me, then I'll talk about that. The me is the user in this case. And the way it works is you pass in an access token as a query parameter. And our service knows how to decrypt that access token and figure out who the user is and give you the base information. You can also get calendar information. I know this is a SkyDrive talk, but I just want to show it to you guys. You can get calendar information, contact information as well, and retrieve that data from the Hotmail account or Outlook.com. You can get a user's albums from SkyDrive for any folders that are marked as albums, or you can actually get the root SkyDrive folder by passing in me/SkyDrive. And if you want to get the picture of the user, the profile picture, you just pass in me/picture. The only thing I want to show here is the way OAuth works is also you have to provide scopes. You want to state your intention, what you're trying to do. So to access SkyDrive, you have to use something like www.skydrive. And if you want to get the user's profile information, you pass in www.basic. So what that does is when you send it to the login server, it knows what you're trying to show. It shows what you're trying to do. And it then shows a user a UI that says, hey, this app is trying to access your profile information. Do you want to allow it or not? So the user gets a much more personalized message, and he knows what he's doing. So I'll let this up. The other thing I want to mention here is the way it works is you do me/SkyDrive. It returns you a collection of all the folders or all the files that are at the root level. If you want to interact with a particular resource or folder, for example, in this case, in the metadata you get back, you get a folder ID. And once you get the folder ID, all you have to do is do v5.0/folder ID. And that will get you metadata on the folder itself. If you want to get the files of a particular folder, you do folder ID/files, and it'll give you the rest of the files. And the best part about it is you have one endpoint that you have to talk to, one programming model, one way of concept that you have to learn to get different resources, be it SkyDrive, be it profile, be it the user's contact information, friends, and be it its calendar. So it's one endpoint, you can talk to it, and you can retrieve the data. with that said, let me show you what the client side is. This is the third piece, the client side libraries. The client side libraries this is for Windows 8 C#, and looks like this. As I mentioned, it is one line of code, and it takes care of all the OAuth setup. You just call login async. It will bring the browser control. It will handle the redirection. It will handle the authorization code exchange for an access token. And in the end result, give you an access token that you can deal with. So you don't have to worry about it. And in this case, what I'm doing is I'm passing in a bunch of scopes. I'm passing in the sign-in scope, so keep me signed in. I'm passing in a basic scope, which actually returns me my profile information. And the last one I'm passing is the SkyDrive. I want to read all your SkyDrive data. There's another one for SkyDrive write, which is called www.skydrive_update, which is a separate consent you have to ask the user, and you can do it. All I have to do is just pass in another value to this collection, and I'll get that consent. So now you're wondering what happens once I get the consent. I have the access token. Do I have to really deal about the access token? No, actually. So what you do is we have this notion of connect client, live connect client, and it takes in a session object, which is returned as part of the live login result from the code above. You just pass that in, and then you just call client folder.getAsync and pass in me/albums. And all that this does is return you all the folders that are marked as albums on the user's SkyDrive. If I want to get the SkyDrive information, I can just do me/SkyDrive. If I want to get the profile information, I can do me. It is that simple. And one more thing about this function is if your access token is expired, it actually keeps track of it and actually gets you a new one. So you can give this continuous experience to your user without prompting them for credentials again. It actually takes care of that. So using the SDK is optional, as I said, but it's definitely helpful and simplifies the work you have to do, and makes you worry about your application and not how you do this plumbing. So, and if you're creating a Windows 8 Windows Store JavaScript application, you can do the similar concepts here. As you can see, I'm doing wwl.login, passing in a bunch of scopes, and this takes care of all the OAuth stuff that I have to set up and returns me an access token. So I don't have to worry about it. And the only difference between the Windows C# and JavaScript is the API method. We don't have a connect client because it's not a strongly object program model. So you get this wwl.api method. You pass in the path that you care about. You pass in the method in this case. In this case, you just want to retrieve data, so you pass in a get. If you want to put data, upload a file to it, you just put a put. In fact, we also have functions like wwl.upload or wwl.download if you just want to download a file. So you don't have to worry about it. And I'll actually show you that in my demo. So let's get started. Let me show you how easy this is. Seeing code on slide is not fun until you actually see me make some typos on stage. So the first thing I want to show you is where you download the SDK from. I'll have this URL towards the end, so you don't worry about it. It's actually just simple, dev.live.com. Just go to dev.live.com, and that will actually redirect you to this page. And then you can go to downloads on top and download the SDK. Once you've downloaded the SDK, just go to Visual Studio, create a brand new application. In my case, I'm going to hit cancel here because I've already created one. Then once you get the application created, go to References and say Add Reference. And once you go to under the Windows tab, you'll see Live SDK right there. Once you hit OK, it gets added. It adds all the references for you in Visual Studio. After you've done that, there's one more step. That step is basically registering your app with Microsoft account. And we actually have simplified that process for you. So if you provision your app with the Windows Store, you automatically provision with us. And to do that, it's as straightforward as go to Project, go to Store, and say Create App Packages. Follow the steps here. And at the end of it, you will be provisioned with Microsoft account as well. So we know who your application is, and we can take it from there. So now let's get started. I'm going to show you real quick how easy it is to retrieve data from the user's Microsoft account or SkyDrive. In this case, what I've done is I've created an application, and all I've done is put a text block and an image control on the canvas. So when I run this application, you'll see nothing because there's no data being populated. And let's go now show you how you can actually populate the data on it. So what I'm going to do is new up a live auth client that I showed you earlier, right? And I'm just going to say auth client, just new it up. And then what I'm going to do is do live login result, which is the type we return because we're using the task of T pattern. So this is the T that gets returned. And I can just do await auth client dot login async. I'm going to hold it here. As you can see, there's a bunch of methods. You can see login async, log out. If you just want to initialize, you can initialize and see if the user's already given you consent before. In my demo, I'm just going to use login async and show you how that works. So in login async, as you see, all it takes is a collection of scopes. So you can pass in what scopes you care about, and I'll actually just use that to create a UI for you. So in this case, I'm just going to create a new list of type string and pass in wl.basic. wl.basic is the one that actually returns you the profile information of the user. So what I'm going to do here is just close this. And that's all I have to do to set up my OAuth stuff. You don't have to worry about it. It's that simple. It's just one line of code. So now that I have my OAuth set up, let's see what it takes to actually get the user's information. So what I'm going to do real quick is check if auth result dot session status, just see what the user has done. Maybe hit no on the screen, so I want to handle that. I'll just see if auth session status equals to live connection status dot connected. This means that the user is granted permission to your application, and your yeah, double equals. Thanks. I'll give it to you after that. Just come see me. All right? All I'm going to do here is just check if it's connected. And this basically means, hey, the user has consented your application. You can actually now retrieve data on behalf of the user. So what I'm going to do here is just do live connect client. Say, I'm just going to call it me client. And new it up. And this takes a session object. The session object is returned part of the result. So I'm going to do auth result dot session. Right? And then what I'm going to do is just get the data of the user. So I'm going to just do live operation result, which is part of the task of T pattern that we return, and say me result equals to me client dot get async and pass in me. This returns the basic profile information. And what I'll do after that is once I get that, I'll just put in a dynamic keyword. Have you guys used the dynamic keyword? It is awesome. So you guys should check it out if you haven't. And I'm just going to say result equals to me result dot result, which is a collection, which is the iDictionary. It's a dynamic dictionary, so I can actually just do it that way. And then I just have my text box, as I said, defined already. And I'm just going to say text equals to result dot name. That's the property, the JSON property that gets returned. So that's how I get my name. Now let's see how easy it is to get my profile picture. I'll just do me result equals to await me client dot get async. Actually, let me show you one more thing here real quick. So as you can see when I do dot, these are the functions available to you. So you can do background download, background upload, copy, delete, get async, move, post, put as well. So this is the functions you can do, and these are all the stuff you can do with it. So I'm going to use get async here, and I'm going to pass in me slash picture. And then I'm just going to do result equals to me result. Get the data into my dynamic object. And what I'm going to do now is I have an image control, as I said. I'll just do image.source equals to new bitmap image. That's the thing you need to pass in. Give it a URI and pass in the string, which is result.location. And then URI kind equals to absolute. And just do that. Now let's run this application. Hopefully the demo gods works, bless me, and we have internet connection. And once the data screen loads up, you can see I get a consent screen. So this is the whole OAuth stuff that I was talking about. You don't have to do anything about it. As you saw, one line of code did this for me. As you can see, it says, this app needs your permission to sign in automatically, as well as access your name, gender, and information about you. I hit yes to this, and soon you'll see my name show up there, as well as a picture. So it's that easy to get started with using SkyDrive. So now that you've seen how you get the profile information, let's get into something more complex, and the thing that you guys are here for. How do you deal with the SkyDrive APIs? It gets some of your contact information. But let me take questions at the end of the talk, because I have a bunch of stuff to cover. So let me get to that. So I'm going to jump into a much more complex application. Let me quickly show you what it looks like. I've done most of it. So I'm going to walk you through some of the code and actually show you how to write just the download and upload pieces. So once you see this is my application, which all it does is go to my SkyDrive, return all the folders that are marked as albums, and just show them in this application. Just download the images. I can click on the image. I can swipe it. I can download all the images from there. In fact, and I can actually, if I want, I can download the image. I haven't hooked up this code yet, so I'll show you how to do that piece. As well as if I want to upload a folder, upload a file, I can just click on the folder album name and click upload. Again, this piece I haven't done, so I'll show you how that's done. So let's go back into code. So now that I've showed you how Live Connect client works, let's look at what the code looks like. This is fairly straightforward. I have a Live Connect client right here, defined right here. I pass in the session object that I retrieved with the access token. I showed you how to do that piece. I'm going to skip over that here. And all I'm doing is passing me/albums. This is returning me all the folders that are marked as albums. But if I want to retrieve the SkyDrive root folder, I'll just replace it with me/SkyDrive. Again, for SkyDrive's case, everything is a folder or a file. So you'll get metadata that says this is a folder, or you'll get metadata that says this is a file. And you get a collection of all that. It's that straightforward. What I do here is I just take my get async, and I pass in me/albums. That returns me the collection of all the folders. And then I just traverse those folders and actually get more information on it. In this case, as you see the highlighted code, what I'm doing is I'm taking the folder ID that I retrieved from my collection and getting the album cover for it. So if I want, all I have to do is do album.id/picture, and that will return me the album cover. If I want to get the files, I'll do /files, and that will give me the files on this thing. So all I'm doing is getting the album cover here, setting that up. One thing I want to call out is the SkyDrive album. It's not part of the Live SDK. It is part of my demo only. And the reason why we don't include it in the Live SDK is because you guys might have a different need for it and how you want to customize your model. So it's open to you guys, whatever you want to do. This is just for my demo. I'll share the source code if you guys are interested, and you can base it off that. So I'm just creating my SkyDrive album. And then what I'm doing is traversing the SkyDrive album to get the list of files. Again, it's very simple. All I have to do is album.id/files, and that will give me all the files that are there. Be it a folder, be it a file in be it a subfolder, all that information is returned to me. The thing is, that album ID is the key here. You just pass that in. And what I do then is basically go through the result that it returns, and then just set up my SkyDrive item, which is in this case a photo, and just have my data-bound UI working. So in this case, I'm just adding it to the groups collection and setting it to the all groups, and my UI knows how to pick it up. All I have to do here. So with that said, let me show you how easy it is to upload code, upload a file. So I have a separate page. It knows which file your photo you've selected, so it has your album ID, file ID purpose, or which album ID in this case, upload case. I'm going to show you. As you can see, I have demo code that's commented out. So let me show you what that looks like, how you write that code. All you have to do is do Live Connect client again. Say upload client equals to new Live Connect client. And I have my app.session object that I was talking to you about, which has the session my access token as well. I just use that. And all I have to do after this is do live operation result, upload result equals to await upload client dot background upload async. And let me just put this up. It shows you the parameters. In this case, I have my selected album.unique ID. I want to give it a file name. So prior to that, let me just show you one piece of code. I've set up the file open picker beforehand, so I don't have to do that on stage. Basically what this is the Windows RT file picker. I'm just using that. And then it returns me a storage file. I can just use that storage file and upload it to SkyDrive directly. So all I have to do then is give it a file name. So I have this file object that the picker returns. I'm just going to do file.name and then pass in the actual file. This is the storage file. I just pass that in. And it asks me for a bunch of override options. So in case if you have a file that exists on your SkyDrive with the same name, what do you do with it? So we have this thing called override option. And here's the bunch of options available to you. It's rename. If a file exists, say image1.jpg, make it image1 parentheses 1.jpg. You can choose not to override it. In this case, it'd fail. And you can choose to just override the file as well. So you can do all that from here. In my case, I'm just going to override it. And all I have to do to upload the file is this line of code. And the best part about using this function, it actually does it in the background. So if your app gets suspended, the OS will actually continue the transfer. So it uses the background transfer built into Windows 8 directly. And if you're using, in the case of Windows Phone, it'll use the background transfer for the Windows Phone. So you don't have to worry about the situation that, hey, especially on the phone, which becomes a problem is, I'm using your app and I get a phone call. Your app is terminated. What happens with the upload? So this uses background upload. And as a result of this, once the upload succeeds, it's going to return you metadata on the file. They'll give you the new file ID that you care about, what's the status, everything. So you get all the files metadata back. In the case of files, if it's a photo, we also return you information about the photo. So we do some processing to figure out what camera it's been used, give you that in metadata, give you different thumbnail links, so you can use those links to show thumbnails, so you can have all that information there. In the case of audio, you get information about the track. In case of video, you get information about the video. So you get all that rich metadata depending on the file type. Again, all it boils down to is folders and files, but picture photos, audio, video is a little different, so you can actually do more stuff with it. So now that I've showed you upload, let me just show you how download works. Again, I've actually set up my folder picker right here. And all I'm going to do is, just to show you guys, my demo code is all commented out. All I'm going to do here is just to do the live connect client. Say download client equals to new live connect client and pass in the session object. Right? And then I'll just have to do this live download operation result. And say download result equals to await download client dot background download async. And what I'm going to do here is, as you can see, it has 4 overloads, and I'm going to use the second one. This one just takes a path, and it gives it a file ID. The path in this case is the file ID, and it returns you a stream object. So you can actually manipulate the stream whatever you want to do with. In my case, I'm going to do selected file dot unique ID and pass in a storage file because I don't want to deal with the stream. I just want to save it to my file system. So in this case, I'll just pass in the file object. And that's it. That's all I have to do to get download a file. It is 2 lines of code. You don't have to worry about streaming it. You don't have to worry about opening a socket or network stuff. It takes care of all that. So it's very easy to get started and integrate SkyDrive into your application. So now let's run this application. Once it loads up, I'm actually going to go and select this file right here, right? And I'm going to download it. It tells me which location you want to save. I'm just going to use the default location. And once I do that, you'll see the file downloaded. In my case, it's not going to do it because I made a small mistake, and I'll just correct that real quick. And all I have to do here is to selected file that unique ID plus content. This is the actual content stream. What I actually downloaded was a JSON response. I don't want that, so I want actual file downloaded. So let's do that again. Oh, this is the app termination stuff with debugging. Let's go back to the same image and say download. And I'm going to select it here. As you can see, the file got downloaded, but it's 2.49 kilobyte. That's not my image. I'm going to say choose this folder, hit OK. And then let's go back to the desktop, stop this application, and go to my documents. You can see the image right there. When I open up, that's the image. So it's that easy to download files. If you want streams, we have an option for you to get the stream data. So with that said, let's get back into the deck. So let's just quickly recapture what we did. I showed you how to get started with Live SDK, how easy it is. If you're building standard REST different device, you just have to talk to REST APIs. It's how to create a Hello World application and provision that with our stuff. How to load a user's profile information. Also, I showed you how to download the user's album, which is very straightforward. Everything is a connect client. And that path that you pass in there, that's the key here. You pass in me/SkyDrive, we'll give you SkyDrive data. You pass in me/calendar, it'll give you calendar data. So you can use anything, that API is for anything you want. I showed you how to load pictures from an album. This is just traversing through the folder ID that I got. So in this case, just pass in folder ID and /files, and I'll get the list of files that are there for me. I also showed you how to upload and download files. There's other stuff that you can do, like move a copy, move from one location to another location, copy from one location to another location. You can make a more complex application. But for this demo purpose, I kept it simple, straightforward, so you guys can see the power that you have. And you can actually now create applications that do more stuff. Some of you guys are probably wondering, can I use this API to share a file? Yes, you can do that. All you have to do is file ID /shared_read_link, and that will give you a shared link. If you want to embed your file, you can do that. So if you go to dev.live.com, everything's documented there. It's as easy as just passing in the correct path into the Connect client. So connecting your websites to SkyDrive. So how many of you guys are creating websites or still dealing with websites? And it'll be good if you want to integrate with SkyDrive, right? So we have a JavaScript library. You can actually just include that, host it, take it from a CDN, and do it. But one of the things we realize is people like the fact that you can integrate SkyDrive, but they didn't want to build a UI. Supposing I want to download a file. I have to build a UI and see what the UI looks like. I'm going to spend time building a UI. Or if I want to upload a file to a folder, I have to build a UI which lets the user select a folder. So what we have done is actually simplified that for you. But before I get into that, I just want to call out our JavaScript library. It's very similar. You can do the exact same things that I showed you using the JavaScript syntax. If you go to download.live.com, dev.live.com, you'll get that information. It's very simple. It is, in fact, wl.api, like the slide that I had earlier. It's as easy as doing that. So what I want to talk to you about is the SkyDrive picker. So we have this notion of a SkyDrive picker. You can actually host it in your website. It is a iframe that gets launched, and you just do that, and it's easy. It actually has a channel communication to your app, so you can actually send data back to the JavaScript that we have that you load up, and you don't have to worry about which folder or which file the user selected. It is very lightweight. In fact, all it takes is 4 lines of code to do this. And I'm going to quickly show you a very quick demo of how to do that. So if you guys are connected, if you guys want to try it on your own, just go to isdk.dev.live.com right now, and you can actually try it out. So this is another tool that I would strongly encourage you guys. It basically is a playground for using our APIs. You can actually edit code here. You can see the code samples. In fact, if I scroll down, you can see Hotmail APIs. You can see identity APIs, as well as SkyDrive. So you can use this to see how you can actually get information about the user. In this case, the user would be you. You can get your information. So what I'm going to talk about the open SkyDrive picker. All I'm going to do is run. Let me show you the experience. And what I get is an iframe that shows all my folders in SkyDrive. I can select, let's select this folder here. And once the image loads due to the slow internet connection, I can actually select a file. Let's go back and see what. All right, the internet connection's spotty, but as you get the point, I can select a file, hit open, and as you can see, I selected this image. And in this case, the image is getting downloaded. But let me show you how easy it is to integrate that to your website. I'm going to highlight this code and zoom in a little bit so you guys can see at the back. All it takes is those 4 lines of code. It is, again, just talking to a JavaScript library, including that in your application, and called wl.fileDialog. Or you can say you want to do SkyDrive Picker. You can do wl.SkyDrive Picker and pass in a div element. And that actually draws a button for you saying open from SkyDrive or save from SkyDrive. The next parameter I'm passing here is open. I'm just saying, hey, I want the picker in the open mode. So show me the list of all the files, and don't show me just a folder list. The third parameter, the second parameter you see there is what's the selection type. In this case, I care about single selection versus multiple. So if I want to select multiple files, I'll just pass in multiple to that parameter, and I'll get the data. If you want to see what the save picker looks like, it's as easy as just right here. All I have to do is pass in to this code. Just say mode equals to save. And when I run this, it says this is the consent screen you get. I hit yes. I'll select a file. Let's just go to documents. I'll select this guy again. You get a save picker. In this case, the UI looks slightly different. I have a tree view of all the folders that I care about. I can create a new folder. I can say, select a folder within a subfolder. You can do all that experience. So you can actually provide this to your users, and you don't have to worry about creating the UI. And the best part about it is it gives the user a recognizable experience. In fact, have you guys gone to the SkyDrive site recently in the last few months? The UI here that you see in this picker is exactly the same UI. So that's the experience that I'm saying, that your users will get a consistent experience using SkyDrive. And you can actually incorporate that into your application. So I'm going to quickly jump back to PowerPoint. I'm just going to quickly recap what I showed you. I showed you how easy it is to integrate the SkyDrive picker in the application. All it takes in the open case is 3 to 4 lines of code and 2 parameters. In the save case, it takes just 1 parameter, which is the mode you care about, and incorporate that into your website. It takes care of the OAuth piece for you, so you don't have to do the init or the login. So you just have that code that's right there. We'll actually take care of all that for you, that 4 lines that I selected. It takes care of all the redirection. It takes care of all the communications. And actually, what it returns to you is a JSON response on the folder or the file the user selected. And then you can build logic. In this case, the sample actually goes and downloads it. But you can actually build logic of whatever you want to do. If you want to do server-side, server-to-server push, you can just send the URL to your server. Your server can write to it. So the control's in your hands after that. But what we've done is simplified integrating SkyDrive into your website and stop you from building that clunky UI that you might have to build. It makes it much more simpler. With that said, you guys are probably wondering, what are the supported platforms? What does Live SDK support? You can download the SDK for Windows Phone, Windows 8, JavaScript. In fact, it's a REST API. You can actually talk from that camera or your fridge, depending on what kind of devices you're building. And there's many more platforms like iOS and Android. You can actually download the source code for iOS and Android from our GitHub site. I'll have the links at the end of the presentation. With that said, I'm going to open up for questions. But before I do that, here's the resources slide. If you guys ask a good question, you have T-shirts here. I'll toss them your way. If not, there's folks from our team here, Shelly, Santosh, and there are a bunch of folks from our team. They can help answer some of your questions. Yes, please.
So, does your team have any published best practices for developers like us who want to use SkyDrive to store, settings for our application? Because otherwise, I'm sure you don't want to store it.
So let me repeat the question. The question is, do we have guidance of how you should store settings on SkyDrive? The best answer to that, there's a blog post that was done about a couple of months ago, which tells you what the guidance you should use. As I said, there are some caveats to be cautious about. The one that I mentioned, that the user can go delete the data. So you should make sure your app handles that. But I think the guidance, if I recall correctly, is have a root folder called app data, and then have a subfolder under that, which is your app name and publisher name. The reason behind having publisher name and app name is that the user can recognize who it is, instead of because app names could be different, same across different platforms. So just make sure you have a name of the folder which the user recognizes and know what your app is. because this will stop them from going and deleting it. Supposing if it's an Angry Birds, hey, it's Angry Birds. I know what this is, so I'm not going to delete this. So you want to make sure you give the user enough information on the website when they go on the folder name or in terms of a text file, whichever one you prefer. I can look up the blog post and tell you what that is, but it says app data / this thing. Yes, please. Just 1 second.
So we have a wrapper around the background transfer service. How does the app know the status of the background transfer? It's finished already.
So the question is, since we're using background transfer service, how does the app know whether the transfer is finished? So let me go back into my code real quick and show you. So this is using the await pattern. So the live download result will get returned once it's done. In the case your app's suspended, we have this notion of give me the pending transfers. And what you can do is attach those pending transfers, which is in the case where your file's getting uploaded, but your app's suspended for 5 minutes, then you come back, and it's finished in those 5 minutes. You can actually use that attach pending transfers. That, I believe, is part of the Connect client. Yeah, that, I believe, is part of the Connect client. Yes, please. One.
But what about sharing files? For example, you have a photograph, you want to share it with family members.
So,
You get a token or file.
how do you get the link?
How do you know the link? How do you set up the security so that others can see it?
So in the case of sharing with specific contacts, we don't let you do that. So today, through the APIs, you can share with everyone. But if you want to go through and actually share it to particular specific people, you have to go to the website to do it. Do it manually. Today, that's the limit of set of support we have. Yes, please.
I have a question. Would upload work only with existing file, or would it work even if I have stream link to which I'm writing right now at the moment when I am going to transfer? Maybe I need to write huge amount of data that I'm just creating on the fly.
So the question is, will stream work when I'm writing? Will upload work if I'm streaming using the stream option and actually streaming to the stream as of now? I believe so, because you can pass in the stream object. I need to double check on that one. So if you can swing by after the presentation, I can double check it for you.
I have a second question. Can this SkyDrive feature be used, let's say, in the desktop application, let's say the web control or something like this?
It's a JavaScript. If you can host JavaScript, yes, you can.
Well, I just wanted to check if you know of any limitations.
Not that I'm aware of, but if you find one, please let me know. You can use the file picker. You can actually, if you can install the SkyDrive sync client, you can use the file picker. Yes, please.
Do you have thoughts to extending SkyDrive for enterprise use? So, for example, federate with our Active Directory for sharing policies and things of that nature?
I don't have the right answer for you, so let's chat after this, and I can at least connect you with the right folks for this one. Sorry, I don't have the right answer. The question was, can SkyDrive be used for enterprise? And unfortunately, I don't have the right answer for that, so I'll try to connect you with the right folks. Yes, please.
So you just mentioned the SkyDrive client. That's the one that you install with the Essentials?
No, it's a new sync client. So if you go to skydrive.com, there's a link at the bottom. So the question, just let me repeat the question. The question was, what's the sync client here? The sync client, if you go to skydrive.com, you look for the link called Get More Apps at the bottom, and actually is a sync client that you install, which actually creates a folder on your Windows Explorer, and actually you can just drag and drop. So that's what it is. So the question is there a concept of admin? No, this is in the case of just a user. So you'll have access to what the user has in the SkyDrive in this case.
This is really more towards a consumer base.
Exactly. This is geared towards more consumers.
But even in the consumer market, you know, parental controllers, where you want the parent to be able to see.
So the way the OAuth works is you get access per user. We don't have that concept today, but let me double check again for that one before I say it for sure.
The same subject, if I split personality, I did at home, I did at work, I also move something from one SkyDrive to other SkyDrive. Can I connect to both of them together?
So the question was, can I connect to two separate SkyDrive accounts from the app or from the API? I don't think so. I think that the way the app instance works is you can actually just use one app, or one ID in that case. The best thing would be to download it into your file local PC and then upload it from there.
Do you have control over what directory structure the app might want to set up on SkyDrive? Like if multiple subdirectories and just organize things for somebody?
So the question was, do you have do you control what kind of apps, how the app uses the folders to dump files, and if there is any restrictions or guidance on that? We don't. We actually have a guidance of what you should follow, but eventually it's under your control of how you put it.
So you can just create like a file.
You can create, yeah. But our guidance is make sure it's in such a way that the user recognizes it, because if he's running out of quota, the first thing he's going to do is go to skydrive.com, and he's going to see a folder that he doesn't recognize. He's going to delete it. So, and by the way, folks, we have T-shirts here. So, Harrison, can you just hand them off? Yeah. So the question is, if I should have said that last. So the question was, if a user wants to revoke consent for their app, he can actually do that. It is going to accounts.live.com, and there's a manage permission. You can actually see the list of apps there. Not inside Windows. They have to go to a website.